The Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. I wish it was 6.5 down the hill, but the $1 million, 5 furlongs at Santa Anita, Acacia. I brought you because really I just wanted to have a love fest for Big Invasion together because I know that you're a huge fan. I'm a huge fan, but we got to give Caravel probably the first call here because she is the defending champion of this race.
Yeah, she is. And look, she wanted a big price last year. She's definitely not going to be that kind of price this year. I think that she's gotten a fan following, and rightfully so. Look, she's been amazingly consistent, which you have to respect. She's run good races. She probably didn't prefer the soft turf that she got in Saratoga this summer. She's looking to turn things around in the Breeders' Cup, but like I said, she's a fan favorite and she's going to try to defend her title.
Look, I mean, I think that the phrase I'm going to say now, I think can be applied to two different horses. I think the distance and the firmness of the turf course really could play in her favor. Yeah. I think the same thing about Big Invasion, but we'll start with Caravel. Look, she's got all that big speed. She ran in a bunch of races against really good horses. The Jaipur going 6 furlongs, she made the lead and held on. You like to think that cutting back, her speed's going to be even more dangerous for a horse that likes to wire. And then, like you mentioned, I think it was very obvious that she didn't like the ground at Saratoga. You would watch that race in the stretch. She was bobbling up and down. Now she's going to get the fast pace. And the fast ground. And I'm not really concerned how she ran last time because to me, Brad Cox isn't going to have her fully cranked, ready to go and then run her back in 3 weeks. I think that was probably a stepping stone, almost like a work to set her up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, he's done a terrific job with obviously what's not the easiest mare to train. She definitely had some ups and downs throughout her career, even towards the beginning of her career. And with him, like I said, she's been very consistent, which you have to respect. And she, I think, like a lot of horses, ended up finding the softer turf. If you were in the Northeast or particularly in New York this year, you ended up finding off the turf races or softer turf races. And my one question is she going to be pressured this year? Because she was able in the Breeders' Cup last year to get pretty comfortable on the front end. She was able to do that in the Jaipur. I mean, Big Invasion was closing late and trying to run down a wire-to-wire winner in the Jaipur, which is not necessarily, an easy thing to do. And also in Saratoga, while she didn't like the ground, she was pressured as well. So I think the pace will really determine a lot of it. And yes, I too wish it was down the hill. But 5 furlongs at Santa Anita at any track, 5 furlongs is so much about the trip. And at the end of the day, speed is a big advantage when it's that short. It's fast and furious, these kinds of races.
Well, I'm of the belief that Big Invasion is also going to like the ground, but I also think that he's going to like the 5 furlongs. I know that his big late run, and most might think maybe longer is better for him. And yes, look, I think the down the hill would work great for him. But I think that with real pace to close into, because I think we're going to see real pace. I think Caravel will be aggressively ridden because of the shorter distance. There will also be some other pace in there, I would imagine. It's the turf sprint. I think that he's going to have some pace to close into, and his late kick might actually be more devastating going the 5 furlongs. What are your feelings on that crazy idea?
I know that it's a bit of a concern for him at the end of the day, but I mean, he's been really effective going 5 furlongs down at Gulfstream as well. And obviously, those races were not up to the class of the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. I totally get that. But he's an incredibly athletic horse, and he's been able to handle it fine. All Big Invasion needs is a trip. I mean, that's just the key with him. The firm turf he should absolutely love. When he won at Woodbine in the Arctic last time out, first of all, that was the second choice for him because the Belmont Turf Sprint ended up off the turf. And then he still ended up being on softer turf up at Woodbine. And he didn't really love it. He just had the class to overcome it. Dylan Davis, who rode him that day, said that he really felt like he was not a fan of the ground, but he was still able to just be better than what he was facing. So he's going to get the firm turf that he does prefer. He's back at his peak fitness, able to come back after the trip over to Royal Ascot and him getting back on track last time. He had his final work this morning when we're recording this up in Saratoga, and got a chance to see him, and he's just doing things easily right now, which you love to see. And that's when you know that Big Invasion's at his best.
Well, we know those top 2 are my favorites in the race, but I think we probably should give a call to Live in the Dream, who I thought ran pretty well at Keeneland in his first start in North America.
Yeah, and he was beaten by Arzak that day, who I think is a horse that he's really come to hand for Mike Trombetta as well. But I thought that this was a horse who was coming in after running 5/8 over in Europe as well and being very consistent. He has natural speed for a European turf sprinter to come over and have a race here stateside. I think is a benefit, though it was at Keeneland versus at Santa Anita. He's shown that he has the speed and the athleticism to handle the 5/8. And oftentimes, if you're trying to beat European turf horses, which is not an easy thing to do, your best chance to do so is with a turf sprinter, because that's not necessarily kind of their game. If you go to the turf mile or the turf for Breeders' Cup, it's very hard to get around those European turf runners. But this turf sprinter looks like he could actually be the goods and adds a really interesting layer, I think.
Can you solely root for Big Invasion, or do you have to show some love to Roses for Deborah as well?
Oh, that's my girl, though. I love her too. She is just awesome. She's another one, unfortunately, who did not love the soft turf at Parks. And if you're questioning how soft that race was after the Turf Monster, they took the rest of the races of the day off the turf for the rest of the card, including the very next race. So it was very soft. She didn't handle it. It's the only time that she has not shown up. She's really cool. And in the neat thing about her is that she has a little bit more tactical speed than a true closing turf sprinter like Big Invasion. In some of her races in Saratoga, she actually broke on top. So she is one that can kind of put herself in the right position and not necessarily be a victim to pace. So that's definitely going to be the key, but it'll be a big class test for her because she was facing some smaller fields up in Saratoga, and this will be the chance for her to see what she's actually made of.
Acacia, we appreciate you taking the time, and best of luck to the Clement crew out at the Breeders' Cup.
Pizza Bianca, right behind me, Breeders' Cup winner. So we'll see if we can add another one to the tally.
She liked Southern California.
Yeah, she did.
Thank you so much for watching this video. If you want more great content, choose one of the videos you see on screen now, or go to our website, inthemoneypodcast.com. And for even more, check out inthemoneypodcast.com/plus.